What's up, Spice fans? My name is Scoots.
And I'm Sequeira.
And welcome to Who Brewed This, the only cEDH gameplay channel edited by a Reanimator Elder Dragoness. Who Brewed This is all about rogue brews versus established decks. If you'd like to support us, hit that sub button, give us a like, join us on Discord for free, or just give us your feedback and suggestions. This week, we're doing something really different. It's an all-Innistrad Midnight Hunt table. We're also really happy to welcome the boundary-pushing brewer Kai from the Spellseekers. He's on Lier, and his graveyard knows no bounds. Claire will be playing old Stickfingers for the Reanimator fans. Sequeira is on Katilda, a deceptively solid stacks commander, and I'm on the closest Gruul ever had to Tymna, Tovolar. Time to check out our starting hands.
Kai's hand has a Spell Pierce to destabilize early value plays or win attempts if needed, while being able to start digging for cards with Curate and Gush if necessary. Solve the Equation can also be used to look for more card advantage or win cons, as the nature of Lier allows Kai to play his spells with less fear of their only usable once nature. Claire's hand might seem slow at first, but it has all she needs to pivot. Defense of the Heart is very easy to trigger versus two creature-based decks, and Claire can even use Forbidden Orchard to push it further. She also has a little bit of ramp in City of Traders and protection in Autumn's Veil. Dismember can also be used to remove pesky stacks pieces on my hand. My hand is looking to stabilize and slow the game very early on. It can drop a turn 1 Null Rod and move into a turn 2 Archon of Emeria. The tap lands combined with artifacts being shut down is pretty strong. It can then go for Katilda to get an early card advantage engine with shared summons in something like Eternal Witness and a Toski, and from there look for the win. Scoots' hand is all about card advantage, with a bit of interaction in the mix. He has 2 werewolves for Tovolar to push through, plus Jessica's Will, all of which is gas. Guess Cradle with just one other land can be scary at times, but no one plays Rats in cEDH, so he'll be fine. Sol Ring gives him a turn 1 Metallic Mimic into turn 2 card advantage, and Cathartic Pyre can deal with whatever comes his way.
Midnight Hunt? More like Midnight Punts. Let's get at it. Kai starts us off with an island and passes to Claire, who simply drops a Bayou. Both are starting pretty slow. Sequeira, however, is trying to kick the hate gear early as he drops an Ancient Tomb and casts a Null Rod. With a clear yikes, Kai spell pierces that card, and I secretly thank him for it. Sequeira passes. On my turn, I play in Crackwooded Foothills for a Taiga and proceed to drop Sol Ring. I top this play off with a Metallic Mimic, which I use to name Werewolf. The table is obviously shocked, and I pass.
A pretty solid start for the pack, with clear mana and card advantage enablers on the table, but no one should be howling victory anytime soon.
Kai drops a second island, it's like he's playing mono blue, and passes to Claire. That double blue is here to pressure the table. Claire plays a basic swamp and casts her Grim Monolith. Sequeira asks Kai if he regrets the Spell Pierce, and the nope from Kai resonates within our souls. We get to Sequeira's turn, and the hate keeps on coming as he drops a Plains into an Archon of Emeria. Big oofs for Kai, who responds with a Curate. Both cards are kept on top, and he draws one, letting the Archon resolve. Sequeira passes.
Archon is a really pivotal play here. Not only does it hurt mana bases, it also makes it harder for Kai and Claire to win. It does give Scoots a little bit of advantage, but he'll still struggle to develop the board too fast and bank on Tovolar's card advantage. We just gotta survive the pummeling.
We're on my turn, and I just drop a tapped Gaia's Cradle into a Nature's Lore, keeping it simple. Stomping Ground is put into play tapped before I pass. We're back to Kai's turn, and he plays a tapped Flooded Strand before casting a Mana Vault, and proving to Sequeira that the Null Rod really had to go. He passes to Claire. Claire is the first to show that she can do big, scary things, as she plays a tapped Forbidden Orchard and then casts a Defense of the Heart. The entire table says, "We're in danger!" as she's against 2 creature decks while also having Forbidden Orchard to force that trigger to happen. Defense of the Heart resolves, and Claire passes. Sequeira's turn starts with an untapped forest before he swings at Claire, because that's one less Razaketh activation. He then casts Katilda, since not developing the board is out of the question. He passes. On my turn, Archon of Emeria keeps being annoying as I play a tapped mana confluence and cast Tovolar. It's daytime, and my commander gets a +1/+1 counter from Metallic Mimic. I swing at Claire with the Mimic, drawing me a card. Basically Tymna. Then I pass. Kai banks on the Flooded Strand 1 turn later, getting, you got it, an island. Kai drops Heuristic Study for our pleasure and plays a tapped Emergent Zone before passing to Claire. On his end step, though, Claire has other plans as she tries to dismember that poor Archon of Emeria, and pretty much declare to the world she's going to try to win. Kai draws 1, and yours truly comes in with the save here as I deflecting swat that dismember to the other resource on Cicada's side. Katilda. I pay for the study.
This was pretty much perfect for Scoots, as he gets to set me behind on the board while keeping Claire as tame as possible. On my end, seeing Katilda go makes me whimper, as it makes pivoting towards a win much harder. However, this is also okay in general, because Defense of the Heart checks the conditions at the beginning of the upkeep and on resolution. Claire isn't able to respond to it with Forbidden Orchard and gives Scoots a creature to trigger it.
With one more turn for Defense of the Heart, Claire simply plays a tapped City of Traitors and passes. It becomes nighttime. Time for werewolves to play. Cicada's back to his turn, and he simply plays another forest before casting Katilda, paying for the study. He sends the Archon to Claire and passes to me, seemingly pretty behind. On my turn, the werewolves go straight at Claire, and I activate Tovolar's Wolf Run ability to add a little bit of extra pain there. This draws me a total of 2 cards. On second main, I play a Guardian Gladewalker, paying for Ristic. It enters with a counter from the Metallic Mimic, and gives the Mimic its own counter in return. Beats by Werewolf. Let's go. I pass. Kai plays a tapped Ancient Tomb before casting Solve the Equation. We're pretty much looking for him to save us here. He gets a Chain of Vapor and uses it on my Tovolar, as he's been pretty strong. This puts the onus on me to continue the chain targeting Defense of the Heart.
This is one of the most important plays of the game here. Claire has a Veil of Autumn, but the way to win through Defense of the Heart actually depends on multiple spell casting. Claire needs to get Razaketh and Witherbloom Apprentice, cast Stickfingers and sack it for Chain of Smog. As such, she is better served allowing this to happen, floating 1 black mana and bouncing the Archon instead. The chain stops on me. I could have taken out the Ristic, but we might need Kai's free interaction.
We get to Claire's turn, and her top deck changes everything. She floats 2 mana from City of Traitors and plays a Bloodstained Mire, which enters untapped. She sacks it for an untapped Overgrown Tomb, and then gives me a Spirit with Forbidden Orchard, because real recognize real. Just kidding, Claire uses the mana to cast Culling Ritual, paying for Ristic. Kai floats 3 mana in response, and we're all fairly sure we might be dead. Claire has 6 mana floating here. She casts Old Stickfingers for X=2, triggering Ristic and allowing Kai to draw. Stickfingers resolves, and she gets the good graveyard pile in Razaketh and Witherbloom Apprentice. Claire casts Life, reanimating Razaketh, and losing a lot of life in the process. Kai draws 1, but still no interaction, that he cares to play anyway. Old Stickfingers is a victim of ageism as Claire sacrifices it to get a card from Razaketh. Claire plays a Chrome Mox to get mana positive and pays for Ristic. She doesn't make it to the win, and she passes to Cicada's turn.
On her turn, Claire played a bit safer than a deck like Old Stickfingers can care to. If she had gone the full X=3 on Stickfingers, she could have tried to win. Claire's fear was Kai's interaction, and she wanted to catch him on the Autumn's Veil the entire time, but this also left her at a strange spot mana-wise. What she could have done differently was start a turn with Veil, and then no longer be afraid. But it's okay, because we all make mistakes, and she's not exactly out of the game with that Razaketh and a win con in the graveyard either.
On Ciqueida's turn, it becomes daytime, which, after Claire's win attempt, sounds pretty fitting. He plays a Verdant Catacombs and sacks it for his scrubland to play a werewolf of his own, Duskwatch Recruiter, into Archon of Emeria. He does give cards to Kai, but he's in no position to not do it. My turn is a lot more tame, as I simply drop a Young Wolf and pass, but I still get to challenge Claire to cast the Coloring Ritual again. I pay for the study, as Kai is getting pretty scary with a billion cards in hand. Kai starts his turn playing a basic island and casts Spellseeker. We're afraid we might be doomed, but not just yet. He gets himself a Pongify, all but hinting that he wants the Archon out of the picture as fast as possible, before passing to Claire and going to cleanup. Among the discarded cards, he does show a Paradigm Shift, which is a Thassa's Oracle win con. Not on this channel, probably. Claire simply draws and passes to me, transforming Sequeira's human into a ramp werewolf in the process, and it's now nighttime again.
The werewolf turning over isn't ideal here, because of the Archon making it harder to bank on a human plus grind effect. However, I do get to go to my turn and drop 2 game-breaking cards, if we're talking keeping the table safe from Kai, a Yavimaya Hollow and Devoted Caretaker, paying for Ristic. These could be the key to keeping Kai from winning.
Sequeira swings at Kai with the Archon and passes. I use this opportunity to cast Cathartic Pyre, drawing Kai a card and looking to recover from the loss of board, because this has been pretty rough on me. On my turn, I cast Tovolar from my hand, not having found a land. I pay for Ristic and attack Kai with my wolf, drawing 1. This finds me a forest, which I am all too happy to play. We move to my end step, and Kai tries to resolve rapid hybridization on Sequeira's Archon, momentarily forgetting Yavimaya Hollow in play. Sequeira regenerates his creature while also getting a 3/3 lizard. Not a bad trade, if you ask me. Kai gets to his turn and casts a Merchant Scroll. I tell Sequeira he's free to cast his Mind Sensor now, with Claire backing me up.
Despite all the signs, including my reputation, pointing at Mind Sensor, I don't actually have it. Kai's able to tutor here. He goes for a snap, which makes the table consider he might also have the Rift at the ready, or perhaps he forgot what Caretaker does, as it definitely makes dealing with the Archon weird. Kai passes.
Snap also makes it impossible for Claire to currently try to pivot for a win. However, she casts a Demonic Tutor and draws Kai 1 card. She discusses with us what she should get, and gets an Assassin's Trophy, mostly to deal with Lier, should Kai get through Sequeira. She passes afterwards, not able to pressure life totals due to her own. Sequeira then top decks and drops a Yasharn. The pig does deal with a few issues, namely preventing Claire from using Razaketh's tutoring ability, among other things. He pays for Ristic and gets 2 basics from his library, playing the forest for the turn. Sequeira then sends 8 damage straight at Kai, as he's still threatening the win here. On my turn, I also swing at Kai, as he keeps being the most looming threat at the moment. Kai takes the damage from both, drawing me a couple and suggesting he might be wanting to do more with that Spellseeker than meets the eye, which, to be fair, matches his channel's name. I play a Windswept Heath and cast a Masked Vandal, paying for Ristic and then sending it to the Shadow Realm.
This play takes away some of Kai's ability to grind us. Although we've been good cEDHers and paid for the triggers most of the time, depriving him of the stability he was looking for.
We're back around to Kai's turn, and he drops a Grim Monolith of his own, while having mana for a Cyclonic Rift. The gears at the table start shifting. Kai is really close to losing to lethal, so we pretty much convince Claire to join forces and we won't attack her this turn. Well, actually, she specifically asks me because Sequeira offered and I was keeping quiet about it. But since she was so nice about it, we agreed. This way, we might be able to force a rift from Kai before Sequeira loses the Archon. Claire drops a tapped Ancient Tomb and goes for big swingies on Kai. He takes it. We then get to Sequeira's turn, and he also swings with everything at Kai. At this point, Kai tries to snap the Archon, and Sequeira uses the Caretaker to protect it. This stops Kai from bouncing something on the end step, and then bouncing something on his own turn. Spellseeker blocks the Yasharn. Cicada then plays a Benevolent Bodyguard as his spell for the turn, and passes to me.
Yes, another layer of protection for my board. Except I forgot Yasharn completely stops it, but who's counting, right? Plus, I'm also counting on Bodyguard as a combo piece.
I drop the trademarked Best Land Basic Forest here, and swing with Lethal at Kai, while also sending Tovolar at Claire. This is where you all find out that I promised her I wouldn't kill her, but I never actually said I wouldn't attack her. Of course, for my misdeeds, Tovolar eats an assassin's trophy, even despite not being that scary. But hey, free Best Land Forest! I pump one of my guys in response with Tovolar's ability though. Kai surprises us by not having the Cyclonic Rift here, which may or may not have been poised to eat a Red Blast on my end, you'll never know. We take out our guests first, because I guess our parents didn't teach us any better, and that's how it goes sometimes. On my second main, I gamble for an Abrade, discard a 3 visits, and pass to Claire. Hopefully we get to stop Cicada now, as he's the next scariest thing on the battlefield. Claire starts her turn by top decking and dropping a Squirrel's Nest. It's not as impressive with Yasharn around, but it might still get things done. She passes and Cicada frightens the table by casting a Shared Summons.
With Kai prematurely gone, and Claire severely hurt by my board, plus all the protection, I now have a chance to build towards a win. I get an Elesh Norn and an Eternal Witness to get back that Shared Summons later down the line. The rest of the table is not very happy with Elesh, but they can't do much about it either. It might just be what takes the game here.
On his turn, Cicada plays an untapped Temple Garden, and then casts the Elesh Norn. Discounted too. I try to abrade the Archon here, but he protects it with the Caretaker, just like he could have protected it with the Yavimaya Hollow before. Interacting is hard. Most of my board dies, and Cicada moves to big swings. Cicada swings with Lethal to Claire regardless of whatever blocks she has, while leaving blockers so I can't funnel mana to draw with Tovolar. Claire does not trade with the Yasharn because we do not Kingmake here. And we go to my turn with not a lot of hope that I'll survive. On my turn, I cast a Destiny Spinner and pass. Cicada plays Eternal Witness for the Shared Summons and goes for another set of big swings, although not quite able to kill me, even without blocks. I take all the damage, holding on to hope for a way to make it. My turn is just Tovolar and passing though. Cicada uses my end step to cast Unexpectedly Absent on his Archon, and then Shared Summons. He gets Kyler and a Village Bellring, which seems to indicate he could be trying to kill me. Just a hunch though.
Although I do have the win through board damage alone, I also wanted to showcase some of the deck's potential with this play. It turns my Duskwatch Recruiter back into human side and allows me to try and go for it. Or lose due to tapping stuff out and Scoots interacting.
Shakira casts Katilda. He then taps his humans to cast Village Bellringer, which untaps them. He proceeds to cast Emil, and now has infinite mana, which he could funnel into the Duskwatch Recruiter. However, since he already has Kyler, he casts it instead. Now, whenever Cicada loops the Bellringer, it puts a +1/+1 counter on Kyler, which pumps all his humans. He could then bounce Eternal Witness to cast Unexpectedly Absent on all my creatures, but he has enough to kill me already. GG's.
We hope you guys enjoyed this match. Most of the decks managed to showcase their game plan, although Lier didn't manage to come out much. Still, Kai was able to fill out his graveyard and show us just how much of a nightmare it would have been if he managed to bounce Archon and High Tide our faces. He still showed a bunch of interaction were it not for my protection. Claire's early pivot also showed the way Stickfingers can just go for it. Archon prevented Forbidden Orchard to give her the fast Pattern of Rebirth, but boy oh boy did she still have a turn to give it a try. There was a slight misplay on the decisive turn as she didn't choose to go all in, but it goes to show that these small decisions matter a lot in the match. Katilda dying twice and the counter on Null Rod were a nightmare to me. I had a really solid way to assume the control stack's game plan really early on, and was defied hard. However, it was also the fact that I was holding the board and putting a stop to Lier and Stickfingers that ultimately gave me the time to assemble the win. Making good cards into ramp is really strong for Katilda. Finally, Scoots also showcased that Tovolar is no joke. Although slightly parasitic due to the difficulty in stopping wins, the deck can accrue ridiculous amounts of card advantage, while also pummeling a lot harder than many of the decks in the meta. He was made prisoner of this game by both depending on me to keep us alive, but also needing me out of the way so he could sort of storm out. Good game.
The WhoBrewedThis team would like to thank Kai for joining us this match and playtesting Innistrad Midnight Hunt. And we salute Cicada's win despite Katilda obviously countering my deck with protection from werewolves. Probably. We also want to thank our watchers, that's you, and once again remind everyone that every like and subscribe will boost our channel's relevance and really help us get more stuff out there. We hope you enjoy the format, and we're hoping for all of your constructive criticism. Until our next match, keep things spicy. This has been WhoBrewedThis. We're out.